Thank you, Dr. Prabhakar, for this interview with us. AI is the most important thing right now, and I would like to give you, can you give us a global perspective of AI and how US and other countries are collaborating each other to prevent its misuse? And in that context, can you also give us a sense how US and India are working together in this field? Prime Minister Modi was here recently.
Yes. Well, thank you for the focus on artificial intelligence. President Biden has been very clear that we are at an inflection point in history. It's a time when the choices that we're going to make in these few years will shape the way the decades ahead will unfold. And he very much sees artificial intelligence as part of, it's really the most powerful technology of this time. And so the choices we make specifically about AI are really critical. It's already a technology that's seeped into everyone's lives, certainly our lives in America, but around the world. And now, of course, it's racing forward with these new generations of technology. So the president has been extremely clear that our job is to make sure that this comes out right for America and for the world. And that's why it's been an urgent and important focus here at the White House. The work that we are doing includes working with companies to hold them accountable, and there's some important progress on that today. We're also working on executive actions that we can take within existing law, and the president is considering an executive order that we think can really boost our ability to deal with AI's harms and also start using it for good. That's what we can do from the executive branch. We'll also continue to work with Congress on bipartisan legislation as they start putting legislation forward. And then critically and underpinning all of this is our work that we're doing globally with our international partners and allies, including with India. And that is because this is a global technology. It's everywhere. Everyone is participating, and it's going to affect everyone's lives. And we want to make sure that like-minded countries work together to shape the course of AI.
What kind of regulations you think the US wants to have? The British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was also here. He talked about it. What kind of global regulation you need to have in this AI?
Yeah, the way I think about it is that every party has to play their particular role. Today, the president is announcing voluntary commitments that we have worked on with 7 leading AI companies. These are companies that include Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, which of course is Facebook, but also some of the smaller AI companies, very strong but smaller companies, Anthropic, OpenAI, and Inflection. So think about that. That's a huge number of tech companies, some of the biggest leaders in AI, and they are signing up for some commitments on safety, security, and trust. It's clear. I think this is such an important step that we've been able to achieve by holding these companies to account, because it's the first time that the industry has started to come together and take responsibility. So that's what companies need to do. Then we're going to be working on what we need to do as an executive branch. And that will include both figuring out how do we manage as AI makes voice cloning, makes fraud more easy, as cybercrime becomes easier, as some of these harms start advancing. How do we mitigate those harms within the laws and regulations that we already have? And then how do we start using AI for public purposes? How do we use it to deal with the climate crisis that we're confronting? How do we use it to improve health outcomes for everyone here in America and around the world? So we're seeing both the bright and the dark side, and we're actively working on both pieces.
Yeah, everyone is eagerly waiting for the bright side of use of AI. But some non-state actors and the state actors, 3 countries in particular, Russia, China, and North Korea, are being seen using or misusing AI for their own purpose. How does the global community, including US, India, UK, and other countries, can come together to prevent that kind of misuse?
Yeah. I think, the core point, I think very much where you're going in that question. Look, this is, again, it's the most powerful technology of our times. And the president's been clear that how we use it is going to express our values, but that's true as well around the world. And we know every part of the world is trying to use AI to create a future that expresses their values. And I think, we can disagree about lots of things in this country and around the world, but the one thing I think we would all of us would agree on is that we don't want to live in a future that's driven by technology, that's shaped by authoritarian regimes. And that is why I think it is so important for like-minded countries, for democratic countries to come together and make sure that we're working together to use AI in ways that express our values.
The Prime Minister of India was here last month
Yeah.
on official state visit. You were present in several of the meetings. Where does the two largest democracies of the world, and the talent in both the countries, that they are quite good in technology and IT and AI, how these two countries can collaborate together in the field of AI, not for public good. Public good is also there, which President talked about multiple times in his speeches, for global public good, but also to handle the misuse or prevent them from misuse.
I think that's very much on the minds of our global leaders when they meet with President Biden. And as you mentioned, that's happened with Prime Minister Modi, with many others. I had the opportunity to be at Congress when the Prime Minister spoke, and then at the state dinner, and then again at the luncheon that the Vice President and the Secretary of State hosted. And artificial intelligence came up repeatedly in those conversations. In fact, the Prime Minister made a wonderful joke when he addressed Congress, and he said he thought AI stood for America, India, which is another way of interpreting it. But I think it really, the theme of many of the conversations that has happened is exactly what you're saying, is we're going to have to link arms and be clear about how to achieve safe AI so all of our citizens can benefit from it. And I'll just take a moment to say that's something that's very easy to say, and it's very hard to achieve, because the tools and the methods to know if a very complex AI system is safe, that it won't be biased in the suggestions that it's making, that it won't make up facts, that it won't allow for voice cloning for frauds or misinformation through generating false images. Those things are not possible today. Nobody knows how to really assess that. And so even doing the technical work to have a foundation for assessing safety is actually a pretty important starting place.
Great, wonderful. Anything else you'd like to say about the challenges, and how much time do you think it will take to come out with a global regulation on this?
I think that's not going to be one action and we're done. I think this will happen in stages. But again, we're working very closely with our allies around the world to make sure that we do this together. And, I think the bottom line, here's the bottom line, is President Biden is very focused on making sure that we get AI right for America and for the world. And we made one important step today, and there's much more to come.
One last question I wanted to ask, this is a country of entrepreneurs, and the Silicon Valley in particular. I was there a few days ago, and I saw the buzz about AI, and everyone and the startups are all booming up. Everyone is VCs are funding AI in a big way. What would you tell them when they're starting this journey on AI?
Well, I spent half of my professional life in Silicon Valley. My regular home is Palo Alto, and I sense that excitement. What I would say is go build amazing applications for artificial intelligence, because that is part of how we're going to go forward, and make sure while you're doing it to build AI that is safe and trustworthy, so that it really does lift us up in the end.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Great to talk with you.